Hello and welcome. This is the Almighty Ferret Lord with my Yu-Gi-Oh collection. You may know me as science fiction writer R.A. Ferret, or as the sole member of the experimental punk band Ferocious Flying Ferrets, or as that one obnoxious furry posting barely relevant science and history trivia and bad puns in your third or fourth favorite transgender VTuber's Twitch chat. Or, on the off chance Farfa ever sees this, you once covered my local's entry fee because I showed you how to change the comment settings on your Facebook page. It's still funny to me, and it's even funnier now that I don't even use Facebook anymore. Anyway, while going through this, I'd like to give some thoughts on what Yu-Gi-Oh means to me. I probably don't need to explain Yu-Gi-Oh to you, but just in case, here's the condensed version. The Yu-Gi-Oh manga, first published by Kazuki Takahashi in 1996, featured a card game that would eventually become the central focus of the story, and featured prominently in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters anime that premiered in 2000, not to be confused with the 1998 anime that adapted earlier parts of the manga. After Bandai's short-lived card game release, Konami introduced the Yu-Gi-Oh! Official card game in 1999, released internationally in 2002 as the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game. I had a passing interest in Yu-Gi-Oh! During the airing of the 4Kids dub of the anime. I didn't really grasp the actual rules of the game, though. But kids don't let technicalities like that get in the way. As I got a bit older, I still enjoyed it, but like a lot of kids, I had that phase of pretending that sincerely enjoying things wasn't cool. The power of friendship wasn't real, or so I thought. I was vaguely aware of GX and 5Ds, but it was actually Zexal that renewed my interest. It was different. It embraced being ridiculous at times, and in high school maybe that was just what I needed. Like a lot of autistic people, I was miserable. The people I was most able to connect to were other outcasts, and a lot of them played Yu-Gi-Oh! I quickly picked up the rules, and the complexity of the game that some people find off-putting was honestly a big part of what drew me in. As strange as it may seem, it's really not an exaggeration to say that Yu-Gi-Oh! Saved my life. It gave my life a sense of meaning when nothing else did. I'm not going to dwell too much on that here as it's far beyond the scope of this video. What is relevant is that already being a collector of various things, I was inevitably going to amass a collection of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Collecting gave me a set of objectives to aspire toward for personal fulfillment. One of those objectives has been maintaining a collection of every card on the advanced format Forbidden List. As of this recording, the most recent update to the list was February 2nd, 2026. But the fact that the list is periodically updated ensures that this collection is not static. It's never just done. For a while, the Yu-Gi-Oh! OCG and TCG used essentially the same lists, but with vastly different formats. This was understandably a problem. After separate lists were implemented in 2013, I decided to also maintain a collection of cards forbidden in the OCG and Worlds formats, just to keep things interesting. Then, I also expanded into official illegal cards. Then other official cards that don't go in decks, like field centers, speed duel skill cards, and tokens. It's not a comprehensive collection, but I think it's a decent enough variety. My decks are always evolving as I reconfigure them for different formats and different styles of gameplay. I don't chase the metagame, but I'm always looking to innovate upon the strategies I like. So I strive to acquire all cards that might conceivably be relevant to those strategies, and I keep them organized for ease of access. I'd rather have them and not need them than need them and not have them. It's also a lot more practical than waiting until new support is announced and buying into hype. For years, I actively engaged in buying, selling, and trading cards for profit, and truthfully, I hated it. I hate treating my hobbies as a business, but at the time, it was my only source of income, and it enabled my hobby to sustain itself. The unfortunate thing about living under a capitalist system is that until it inevitably collapses, participating in it in some form or another is necessary for survival. So, to a degree, I understand the business side of things. I don't want to be too harsh toward people who are just trying to get by because I get it. To an extent, I get why people have cards slapped by a grading company, especially with exceptionally rare cards, which generally aren't going to be played anyway. It makes sense to care about preservation and authentication. Grading can affect how much people are willing to pay for an item. And while I have no intention of selling my collection, I understand that sometimes situations arise in which selling things is necessary to avoid financial ruin. That said, I have no sympathy for those who enthusiastically strive to maximize profit above all else, or those who acquire rare items as status symbols to show off that they have things worth a lot of money, or at least theoretically worth money. They're worth whatever people are willing to pay, I guess, but that varies from person to person. Given a choice, and all else being equal, I'll take a near mint card over lightly played. I generally prefer cards in better condition, as I'm sure most people do. But what really is the difference between cards graded 8, 9, or 10? The fact that people will break open slabs and resubmit until they get the grade they think they're entitled to shows that grading is subjective, not objective. It's not about the card to them, but the status of having a high grade. It's now sacred, but I love cards that are shiny. I like shiny things. Ghost rares are my absolute favorite, but I also particularly like collector's rares and ultimate rares if the foiling is done right. I also think gold rares are severely underappreciated. Different printings are going to be different, of course, and some look better than others. I have a lot of high rarity cards because I like the look of them, but I don't concern myself with what is considered highest rarity, which can always change. What people tend to mean by highest rarity is most expensive, and that is always subject to change. And of course, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best looking. Of course, what looks best is a matter of opinion. Furthermore, whether or not the best looking version is worth the price is up to you. There's nothing wrong with just getting what's good enough for you. I always found the obsession with first edition silly. Sure, all else being equal, I'll take a first edition card over an unlimited print, but I'm not going out of my way for it. If it's just a personal challenge, whatever, go for it. But ask if it's because you actually want it or if you're just looking to impress people. I'm not going to tell you how to collect. You can collect however you want. I just want to encourage you to reflect on what it is that you actually want. Are you actually collecting or just investing? If it's an investment to you, maybe consider gambling instead. The problem with investing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or other card games is that they're games that people play. A lot of card value is derived from utility in gameplay. Cards relevant to the current competitive metagame tend to have particularly volatile prices, and those most valuable and in demand are most prone to reprinting, which is a good thing. for people who actually play the game. For the sake of honesty, I should mention that there was actually one time I was genuinely frustrated upon learning that a card was getting reprinted, and that requires a bit of context. I had paid $50, actually a discount at the time, for a shooting quasar dragon, literally the day before it was announced to be in Legendary Collection 5Ds. When I also learned that the person I bought it from was a thief and a scammer, I wouldn't have even bought it in the first place were it not for the fact that the one I'd already had before had been stolen. It was a different person and a different specimen of the card, by the way, not that it really matters. Anyway, what upset me was really just all of the unfortunate circumstances coming together. The reprint itself, I wasn't bothered by, because it meant I could get a full set of them more easily. The value of the card declining wasn't really my concern, just the situation of when, how, and why I got it. Accessibility is a good thing. People being able to easily get the cards they want to play with is a good thing. It encourages more people to play and allows more people to be able to compete at higher levels. Price should not be a barrier, holding people back from playing the best they can or how they want. Cards getting reprinted does not affect what you already have. Don't buy what you wouldn't want to be stuck with. It really isn't that complicated. If you want a return on your investment, consider playing. You won't make your money back, but you might finally learn how to experience fun. I'm not going to tell you how to have fun. Different people have different ideas of fun. I recommend finding what works for you. If you're not having fun, maybe reevaluate what you're doing. This game may not be for everyone, and that's okay. But if the current advanced format isn't for you, there are other formats that may suit you better. Traditional format doesn't get much attention, but it is an officially sanctioned format if you really think that there shouldn't be any forbidden cards. There's also Genesis format in which Pendulum and Link monsters are not legal, but every other card is, although some cards are assigned point values which must be considered to keep within the point limit. If you think classic Yu-Gi-Oh was better, there's Time Travel and Time Wizard formats, which aim to recreate a specific historical format. While not as actively promoted as they once were, they are officially sanctioned. There are a few specific historic formats that have a dedicated player base with or without official recognition. Plenty of other official formats exist with varying degrees of popularity. But don't let yourself be limited to officially sanctioned options. Speed duels may not be actively supported anymore, but that doesn't mean you can't use skill cards in casual duels. Plenty of player-invented variations on the game have been tried with varying success. You can even create your own format if you can find other people to play it. People make custom cards as well. If you're not playing in an official tournament, you're not actually required to follow their rules if you don't want to, even if you find the card game not suited to your interests. That's fine. Yu-Gi-Oh! From the beginning was never really about card games. It was about friendship. The names of two of the main characters started with Yu and Joe, respectively. Yujo, meaning friendship, further referenced by the card Yujo Friendship, which I'm pretty sure I already passed by a while back. The Duel Monsters card game was just one of many games that appeared in the early Yu-Gi-Oh manga. It reappeared because it was popular, but the story was largely focused on friends playing various games, and also cheaters getting punished with ancient magic. The manga was well into its run before the Duel Monsters card game even had a real-world adaptation. Most people's introduction to Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been the anime, and while I like it, despite its flaws, I understand why some people can't get into it. For those people, I recommend the original manga. I also recommend it to people who have only seen the anime or have yet to experience either. It's a worthwhile manga in its own right, with extraordinary art and characterization. However, it is, of course, a product of its time. Yu-Gi-Oh! Isn't perfect. Kazuki Takahashi wasn't perfect. Nobody is perfect. Nothing is perfect. And that's okay. It's just something to be aware of. You can be critical of things you like, and you can be critical of yourself. Indeed, you should be. Learning to acknowledge and accept your own flaws is an important part of improving as a person. This has also always been a major theme in Yu-Gi-Oh! Another major theme has been helping those in need. Takahashi himself sacrificed his own life in an effort to rescue some total strangers. That, at least to me, indicates an understanding that other people's lives matter just as much as your own. Simple enough in theory, but in practice, people all too often struggle with it. Multiculturalism has always been a part of Yu-Gi-Oh! It hasn't always been handled the best, but it's always clearly been from a place of sincerity. In response to the American invasion of Iraq in 2003, Kazuki Takahashi expressed his wish for a world that would move beyond and race or borders. I, for one, think that's worth aspiring to, even if it's a long way to go. We should all aspire to be better people and build a better world. And doing that means building connections with other people. I know that can be challenging sometimes, but it needs to be done. I know it's often said as a joke, but truly, we live in a society. There's definitely a lot of hard work to be done. I don't want to downplay that. But playing games requiring exercising reason can help train your brain in creative problem solving. Even something like just hanging out and playing games can be a step toward a better future. Since I'm not here to sell you anything, I can just be honest and say I don't have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers, and anyone who claims to is definitely trying to sell something. I have no intention of making a career out of this if the crude production quality didn't clue you in. I spent nothing on the video or audio equipment, and I don't anticipate that changing anytime soon. I do have more videos planned, but don't expect any sort of regular schedule from me. I'm just an autistic person with a lot of interests and a lot of opinions. I make videos when I feel like it, and they'll be finished when I'm done with them. Various disabilities sometimes complicate my speech and coordination, and as a result, this requires more editing than you may realize in order to be presentable, and I do all of that myself. If you want updates on these or other projects of mine, I can be found on Blue Sky at Ferret Lord, assuming, of course, that the site is operational. As of recording time, I somehow have approximately 2,500 followers there, of whom a grand total of 7 have bothered to subscribe to my channel thus far. If listening to my voice somehow doesn't make you want to drive a power drill through your skull, I suppose I should tell you to like, comment, subscribe, and share. You know, the YouTube stuff. Do be aware, this will not be a single focus channel. This channel is just a hobby. because I enjoy video production and I have things to say. But most of my free time is dedicated to other hobbies, especially writing. I do a lot of writing. I might talk about it here someday. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know for certain if it will be the next video, but the next video I'm currently planning is offering my perspectives as an anarchist numismatist, because despite being fundamentally opposed to the existence of money as a concept, I find the history and social aspects of it deeply fascinating, and I enjoy collecting coins and currency as historical artifacts. I'm not sure what the video will be called, and I don't know when it will be out. I have many more cards and many more things I could say, but I think that's enough for now. I'm not really sure how to end a video, so trans rights, Black Lives Matter, Free Palestine, abolish ICE, and